Laissez-les bon temps roulé. We are back for another Louisiana Words News. I think this is going to be like a bi-monthly thing. I think that works for it best, so we can actually accumulate some news. I just want to come back to let everyone know we are still working on the Louisiana Words Tour. We are secure the location in Lafayette on August 29th at Cavalier House Books. We are secure on location August 31st at Always Lounge in New Orleans. And we are still working on location for Baton Rouge. Hopefully, we'll have that announced pretty soon and really roll out. We are looking for readers in Lafayette. We're looking for readers in Baton Rouge. We're looking for readers in New Orleans. So we're going to start really pushing that within the next week. Remember, the Louisiana Words Tour is going to be held Friday, August 29th to Sunday, August 31st. We are hoping to cover Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans in that order. To get back into our news, we are in our second week of the summer season. We've had six new pieces contributed, and we've reintroduced eight uh, writings of the past. So please go check that out. There's contributions by me. There's contributions by some of our upcoming readers in the show, Paige McRae, people that have been in our show. Lavoie and Lewis has a new piece. So go check all of that out. Remember, if you're following the content, Louisiana Words, we post new stuff on Sunday. We repost older content on Monday and Friday. We post new content on Tuesdays, reshare on Thursday. We usually showcase our featured writer on Wednesday, and we show something in regards to Louisiana Words live on Thursday. And the funnest part is on Saturdays is that we rank our pieces through the week. They can be either new or from the past. We usually show our top four for the best of the week, and then we are followed by several countries around the world. We like to honor our countries every week with best of you or best of the world, best of the globe. With that being said, let's get into it. I've got J. Michael Norris here, who has been hosting Louisiana Words Live now since 2022. J. Michael and me, we are your tour leaders. So Michael will be joining with me probably for Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and it's going to be exciting. We have no idea what's in store for Baton Rouge, so cross those fingers here. But whatever we do, it's going to be the first time. It's going to be amazing, whatever happens. I wanted to highlight, J. Michael for our first featured writer for this summer. The featured writers will be me and J. Michael because we want you to get to know us a little bit as we're going to be, as you're going to be seeing a lot of us, especially in a very short time span. So I want to go ahead and introduce J. Michael Norris. How are you, friends?
Hi, how y'all doing out there? My name is J. Michael Norris. You can just call me Michael. If you meet me, I have been writing and working with Louisiana Words for 4 or 5 years now.
Excellent.
And because I was published before we really started doing the Louisiana Live events. And I was in the inaugural Louisiana Live event in New Orleans, and it was really fun. And it's been something I really like to be a part of. So, as far as Louisiana Words goes, it's there aren't already always that many opportunities for writers to express themselves. And I really like the fact that Lewis has created a place where people can, put out their writing and then also participate in community events. So they're not just being published, but there's events where they can go and they can meet other writers. They can meet other people who are interested in writing. These Louisiana Live reading events have been really great for me, just personally. I think they're great for the community. And then I guess with my writing, most of the things I write, if you look at the things that I've written, do center around, I guess, tragedy, but sort of like a beauty that you can find in tragedy. There's usually a queer theme in some of the things, in most of the things I write. There are some stories that don't necessarily center around that, but that is integral to who I am, and I tend to write sort of from that perspective. And so, as Louisiana Words has morphed a little bit into sort of organically a LGBTQIA plus platform, it's been a nice change for me to kind of know that my writing has a place to fit in.
And as Michael mention, we have evolved into, I mean, we've always been kind of powered by the LGBTQI plus community, but we are for them first. We are for uplift. We're up for bringing people together. We are for seasoned and new writers. Yes, Louisiana Words. We're not here. We're here for voices and exposure. Whether you're a seasoned writer or not, putting on here gets fresh eyes or new eyes on your work. You don't have to have something that's completely finished either. Like, we take your contributions and we want to market you as a writer. And we are working diligently to get this in a place where we can have people that can go through all of our writing and edit and do all that stuff for us. But for now, we're doing our best to just get people's voices out there and exposure. And Michael has contributed 7 short stories, and short stories are not they're really long in compared to poetry. And he did mention a lot about having tragedy. It wasn't until he mentioned that I thought a lot about of it. So Michael's most read piece is the Mirror Twin. And I mean, you describe the Mirror Twin for them.
Yeah, so the Mirror Twin is actually probably my second favorite short story I've ever written. My most favorite is also on the list, but it's not number one, not with other people. But the Mirror Twin is about a moment in a relationship. It's between two men where someone who sort of has had this idealistic idea of the person that they're with is suddenly become breaks, and they suddenly see that person for who they maybe really are, and then they're going to have to grapple with what does that mean about the relationship going forward. So it's that moment in a relationship that I think most relationships have, where you've had this idealized idea about the person that you're with, and then you find out something that makes you face who they really are. Now, this story doesn't answer the question, right? What's going to happen? And that's one of the things that I do on purpose in a lot of my stories is I kind of leave them at a moment where there's a change coming, but you don't necessarily know what that change is going to be because I think that's the mystery of life. Two people with two very similar circumstances can have the exact same situation face them, and they can go two very different directions. And so I kind of like to let my stories be like life in that way, that there's always a possibility for different interpretations or endings beyond the story where the story ends.
I think you have very subtle twists in your stories. I don't think any story ends where I don't think they're predictable at all. I don't think you can predict the endings of these stories, and they're not bittersweet. um, it's this punch of realism that I can't quite, especially if you read The Last Day at Monterey Bay. Room 412 is actually a personal favorite of mine because it's more on the horror side, and it has a twist to it too. So I think that Michael does a fantastic job at letting human beings be human beings. I don't think that I wouldn't pigeonhole him as like, oh, he just writes. I mean, he writes all kinds of people, heterosexual, whatever. I think that you I feel like Michael's work is a great body of work to read if you are heterosexual and you need some guidance. I think there are stories that you can relate to. And I think that's the thing about Michael as a person and why I have him here by my side while he's hosting these shows is that he does have a talent, not just for your own personal charisma where you're on stage, but you can tell a story. And like I said, they are must reads. I don't want to say they're sad. They're not sad. They are what they are. like that's the best way I can describe it to you. They are what they are, and you get from point A to point B, and point B is where you are. You know what I'm saying? So, but I would say, and I don't want to use unpredictable as the main adjective to describe his work, but there is a unpredictability to all of Michael's stories. You have no idea where you're going. And and like, it's got that Flannery O'Connor type of like a good man is hard to find. Like there are these stories that are about human beings and how they react and do all these things, and it leads to which I think Visit with the Psychologist is probably his most clever title, because I don't want to give a lot about that one because it's so cool, but it you think you don't realize that you're seeing a psychologist that needs a psychologist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that is what's really cool, because you don't realize that you think you're going to it's so
Yeah.
again, I recommend reading these stories. They are all very good. I
Well, I had somebody tell me once, was in grad school. I had somebody tell me once that they never understood, they never knew where my ending was coming from. And then when they would go back and read the story the second time, it's all there, right? It's there so that you actually do know the twist that's coming, except I do try to hide it so that you won't know, so that there is a surprise. And that actually, again, ties into my whole thing about life, right? Because there are always surprises. We never quite know where things are going. Right? We can pay attention to the signs and maybe sometimes we can figure it out, but then sometimes we don't realize what the signs were until after we got to where we are. And it is kind of a realism or even a hyper realism sometimes the way I write, where I'm trying to make people who are real people faced with real issues with real outcomes, right? They're not superheroes, they're not perfect people. I have people who are sexist. I have characters who might be a little racist, just a little, right? Because people have these flaws in them, and I don't like to take away all the flaws from my characters, because then what would they be, right? They would just be uninteresting. And a lot of times it's their flaws that lead them into the situations that they're led into. But yeah, but no, like I said at the beginning, tragedy and there's a beauty in tragedy, I think. And living through Katrina helped me see that, that there is a certain beauty in tragedy, and there's a certain beauty in sort of facing and dealing with tragedy, that informs a lot of my stories. And that a happy ending isn't always the best ending, right? I don't think a happy ending is always the best ending.
I wouldn't and I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that Michael's endings to his stories are
They're not always happy.
they're
They're not.
human. They're human.
They might give you hope, but it's
So
not.
there is some hope there, but there's also this inevitable, like, I don't want to say doom, but like that these people aren't going to move beyond the situation that they're in. I think Room 412 does it the most, like in terms of you made all these you made the wrong decisions, and now you went into the wrong hotel room. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like you shouldn't have been doing it felt cautionary a little bit as opposed to the other ones.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, for that one, for that story, it's sort of um the idea that, if you say you're not going to do something or somebody tells you not to do something, maybe you need to listen to them instead of learning the lesson on your own, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we want to learn that lesson on our own, and sometimes you can't come back from that lesson once you've learned it,
It
you know.
reminded me about that story where the girl wore the thing around her neck because if it took off, her head would fall off.
Yes, the ribbon,
Yeah,
yeah.
it had that story. I don't know. They're not the same plot or whatever, but it just had that, like, you better not meddle or you're going to suffer consequences. Like, do as I say or you're going to suffer consequences. So that's the only story that, and I don't think you read that for our Halloween one or anything like that.
Um,
Room 412 is a horror
I,
story.
I read it. I read it during Halloween. I
Okay.
did. one, I don't remember if I read it for the first one or the second one. That was around then, but I think I read it for the Halloween one that was Halloween themed.
So I would say that Michael's genre, I think, of specialty would be like quirky drama, like not like over the top Augustin Burroughs or anything like that. Like people with like their personalities and like these sometimes mundane situations. But and then situations that they even have to question themselves while they're in. And I think What's Up is probably your most R-rated story, and I think even in that, like I think you have a good way of you're playing with sexuality in that, and are you dealing with gay and straight men, and so it's very interesting how you toggle that. But that is probably one of your more humorous ones, the way that you have to handle that. I think in terms to bring straight people and queer people together, you have to like bring comedy into it. So they'll at least like want to be that if we can make each other laugh, we're willing to listen to each other, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing about What's Up is it is awful. It's in a way, it's almost a dark comedy, even though it's so compact. Because what you're laughing at isn't something you should laugh at, but then you're laughing at it because it's the absurdity sort of where this person lets themselves go, right? It's sort of absurd. Like, how did you even end up here? Why didn't you trust yourself at the beginning when you were like, you know what, this isn't something I should do? Why didn't you listen to yourself even? Like, why did you let yourself, convince yourself this was something you should be doing? And again, it's that learning that lesson that maybe you should just listen to yourself, even your own self. Um, I don't know. But yeah, no, they're character driven stories. They have plots, but the plot isn't the point of the story. The people are the point of the story. And I think that if you can relate to the people in the story and you can understand them, even if you don't like some of them, but you do like most of my characters, I think. But even if you don't like them, you understand them in a way. Louis, I want to change the subject for 1 second, if I can. Um, to something you had said earlier about Louisiana Words being a place where people can sort of like practice their work. And one of the things that I've seen, especially with our live readings, is that people, and I even did it once with a poem I was working on, where we can come and we can read it, or people have been working on stories, um, where they'll read it while they're writing it. So it's not published yet, it's not done yet, but they can see and feel the audience reaction and then think, okay, you know what, I didn't intend this to have this reaction. So maybe I did this, I need to change this so I can see how the audience reacts to something, or, oh, that was funny. I didn't realize that was funny. I need to amp that up so it's even funnier, and that's one of the great things about the live readings that we get to do. And I've seen, not just me, but I've seen it with so many of our different authors, where they're reading and that reaction they get from the crowd then informs their edits and their final copy. So that's one of the things I think is important to talk about with Louisiana Words is how that interaction doesn't come from writing things, on your own. You need that interaction to really fuel the creative process.
I mean, I'm working on a book right now that is not that I'm putting together, and I'm going to be reading parts of that. But like, no, nothing. There's nothing wrong with coming to a community to support each other's ideas. Louisiana Words is about showing each other our voices, amplifying them, and helping them make better. We are not looking for perfection. We're looking for people that want to write and that want to have community and that want uplift and that want to help put their names out there. Like, this is the place where you come as a pro or you come as a novice. But like, if you want to do better, you're going to stick with Louisiana Words and you're going to learn that, hey, we just want you to express yourself the way you can, and we can work from there to turn these into masterpieces. But everyone that has contributed to this, everyone that has stepped on the stage for our live shows, this influences somebody. Somebody is reading somebody's work every day on the site. People are looking. It doesn't matter if it's one or a 20 or 300 people reading Mirror Twin. Like it's here. And Louisiana Words is supposed to be for people that are looking for someone to relate to. And we're not here to judge. And we know there might be some writing tucked away with some poor girl or boy in the central Louisiana that has no outlets, doesn't know if the way that they're writing, expressing their ways are even valid. That's where I want them to find Louisiana Words and work it out over here. Because we're going to only elevate each other and become better writers and a better community as we put ourselves in an arena where we feel comfortable. And we are just here peacefully wanting people just to be able to just feel like they matter and their words matter. We make people that are part of Louisiana Words matter. Before they're well over 100 people over here that never until they came to Louisiana Words had an ad made for their writing or had it shared on a website. Like, that is happening. It's still happening. We are now become a Louisiana Works has become an LLC now. We have an opportunity to raise awareness of this, but we can also we're going to be asking for donations. We're going to be doing what we can to get what we need to make this a well-oiled machine. So I just want to assure everybody that we've got the tools now to go and we're going to make it. But as we get more acclimated in what we're trying to do, we will be able to outreach to other places around the state. Anyone from around the state can submit anytime they want to right now. And if you've ever lived in Louisiana, but as far as us doing shows like in Shreveport and Ruston and Monroe, you gotta want them. You've got to have it. You've got to want them. So help us. Help us get more writers and readers from North Louisiana in this game that we don't have a lot. We do have a few people that live in cities that are representing some of these northern towns, but man, can you imagine? There's a great trans writer friend I have up there, Fifi, living in my hometown of Swartz right now. We need to tackle and we need to tap into these people that really need that outlet right now. So before I end, I just want to say, if I please go read Michael's work. We got to talk about this a little bit on the show. Every story is a read. I don't think there's a story I dislike, and I would say so.
Well, good. Thank you, Louis. I think just Louisiana, go read everything that you can on Louisiana Words. There's some
And
really great work on there.
And
From
you're
my
going to see errors and you're going to see people's word and grammar. Let it go right now because some of these people they're writing for the first time. They don't know. So they're probably saying, well, wow, how do you mix novice and seasoned? Because the exposure, you're getting exposed for free.
Well, and you get feedback. You get feedback, and I teach creative writing sometimes. In at school, I'm a college professor, and I sometimes teach creative writing. And I took creative writing courses right all through my MFA, and it's so important to get feedback like that. It just is. It just helps you so much. And so Louisiana Words allows you to get feedback from people, from a general audience, from other writers, from very experienced writers, from novelists, right? We have a novelist who began with us really in a big way, So we have all sorts of people that are part of Louisiana Words of all kind of experience levels. And it's great to it's great not just to share our work with each other, but to hear what other people think. I never would have thought the Mirror Twin would have been the story people loved the most. I never would have thought that. I would have put it on Your Very Own Robot. That would probably be what I would have expected.
Close. It's a close 1 and 2.
But that's the one I would have expected to resonate more with people. But I was wrong, right? It's a story about the gay boyfriends, right? It is that queer story that resonated most with people, and I never would have thought that. So that's one of the things I discovered. Um, yeah. I guess that's
No, like so. I mean, again, y'all like, and that's the thing too. You know, well, me and Michael are on the back end. I see the stats. I see what's going on. But there'll be things that I'm like, "Ooh, this is going to be so good." I'll put it on there, and it doesn't. And my most read poem is like the laziest thing I've ever written, and it's a Valentine's Day poem. It's called "I Love You Is Enough," and the whole gimmick. Go find it. It's on here. I Love You is enough. It went viral, and to this day, it's still the number one piece in Louisiana arts history. And it literally is just about like, it's about a lover basically saying like you don't have to do all this extra stuff on Valentine's Day because I you do it all the time. And so it has a little a clever ending where it's like, just say I love you and I will take my underwear off, and that's kind of how it ends. And I don't know, people loved it, but anyways. All right, y'all. Well, this has been Louisiana Words News. I'm glad that we got to talk here with Michael for a bit. I will see you again in 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks, we will definitely have everything we need moving forward, full steam for Louisiana Words Tour this in August. So you will get 2 more episodes of Louisiana Words News before we get to the tour. Any questions, please reach out to me, Louis Toliver Jr. You can find me on Instagram as LTJ is here. You can find me on Facebook as Louis Toliver Jr. If you also want to reach out to Michael, you can find him on Instagram. It's jmichaelnorris88. And then you can find him on Facebook as Michael Norris. So,
I, Lewis, I do also have an author's website. It's jmichaelnorris.net. And you can contact me through there as well.
cool. Yeah. So if you got any questions, either one of us can answer them. Don't be scared to reach out if you have any questions. Something I do want to make sure too, we have open mics. So if you want to just show up to the show and just kind of get in the vibe, we do about 2 or 3 of those during the show where people can come up and read. So no, you don't have to be a featured writer in the show, but you can come in, you can share your work, and we will make space for that.
Well,
Um,
it's important too, right? You can come and you can decide whether you feel like it that night or not. Now, some of our featured writers now started off as open mics, and it's a great way to like put your toe in the water without jumping all the way in. And so I highly recommend if you're even just thinking about maybe trying to read, just come and feel it out and maybe go to an open mic.
we've had a lot of people start from doing an open mic.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
A few people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they went from just showing up and then all of a sudden, oh, I've got 8, 9, 10 poems to share with you. So, like I said, y'all, hey, life is short. Go ahead and get your stuff out. Go ahead. Don't wait for it to be read. The time to read is now. The time to share is now. And the time to live is now. And so just know that here, Louisiana Words, we're coming full steam and we're going to be investing in ourselves so we can invest in our community. With that being said, that is the end of Louisiana Words News. This went well. Thank you, Michael, for being here, and we will both see you all soon.